Hello guys, so now we shall be discussing what are the different walls of the third ventricle. Okay, so we have so far seen the pictures from the medial side, right? We have seen the pictures from the basal side and all. So now what we shall do is that we shall look from a different aspect and we shall actually draw a box which will represent the third ventricle, and we shall discuss what are the walls of the third ventricle. Okay, so this picture might give you a very good picture of how does the third ventricle look. Okay, so coming to the walls of the third ventricle, let me just draw a random box like this. Right, so if this is your third ventricle over here, let me just finish up the picture. Right, so if you can look at this box over here which I've drawn. Okay, so just let me minimize this box a little bit. Right, so this box represents your third ventricle. Okay, so this box which I've drawn over here will represent your third ventricle. So this is one of the wall of the third ventricle which you can see over here, right? So look at this wall which I'm shading right now and compare this particular wall with this wall. So both of them are called as the lateral walls. So one on the left side is called as the left lateral wall, and one on the right side is called as your right lateral wall. Okay, one is called as the left lateral wall, another one is called as your right lateral wall. See, this is one wall over here, and after that this is another wall. So one you have got is a left lateral wall, and the other one over here is called as your right lateral wall. Right, now in this you see this cavity in the center. This cavity is nothing but called as your third ventricle. Now in this third ventricle, what we shall do is that I want you to watch my previous lecture on the relations of optic chiasm, or you can watch a lecture on hypothalamus. There in that I have drawn this particular picture, right? So in this particular picture, looking at this picture only, we shall draw all the parts which are located in the third ventricle. Okay, so this particular picture is very important. Now in this picture, if you can see here, this part is called as a frontal pole, this is called as a temporal pole. Frontal pole in the sense the pole which is anterior or posterior, anterior. And OP in the sense occipital pole. OP in the sense occipital pole, which means the pole which is posterior. So we have got frontal pole anteriorly, occipital pole posteriorly. Now anteriorly, if you see clearly over here, here you have got this particular structure over here is called as your linea terminalis. Okay, so you have got linea terminalis here, and just beneath the linea terminalis, what is this? This is optic chiasm, right? So let us look at the same picture over here. Now in this picture, where is your linea terminalis? See, all of you just concentrate where is your linea terminalis over here. See this particular part which I am drawing right now, you see this particular part, this particular wall. I hope all of you can look at this particular wall like this, right? So this particular wall over here is called nothing but as your linea terminalis. So this is your linea terminalis. Okay, so let me write it down. This particular wall over here is called as your linea terminalis. Linea terminalis. Okay, now after this linea terminalis, what is this particular structure over here? You see here we have got two nuclei, right? In between two nuclei, now I am drawing a green color line like this. You see, so this green color line which I am drawing in between two nuclei, this green color line will represent your anterior commissure. This will represent your anterior commissure. Now in this picture, where is this anterior commissure? Where is the anterior commissure? See here. This is your anterior commissure. This black one is called as your anterior commissure, right? Actually, you cannot see a band of anterior commissure. Why? Because you are looking it from one side. So this is your anterior commissure. Below the anterior commissure, what do you have? Linea terminalis. So here also, What is this? Anterior commissure. Below the anterior commissure, what do you have? Linea terminalis. Clear? So, are these structures clear? And by the way, I wanted to tell you that this is the frontal pole, right? This is the anterior wall or frontal pole. Let us say this wall where linea terminalis is present and anterior commissure is present, right? Here also, this anterior commissure and linea terminalis, they are towards which pole? Frontal pole. Frontal pole is what? Anterior pole. So it means, can I tell that anterior commissure and linea terminalis, both of them are located in the anterior wall, right? So both of them, they form the anterior wall of the third ventricle. Yes or no? Anterior wall of third ventricle is formed by two important structures, anterior commissure and beneath that linea terminalis. Now, just below the linea terminalis, what do you have? See, this green one is linea terminalis. Down to linea terminalis, this oval shaped structure, this round structure is called as optic chiasma. Now, where is this optic chiasma located? Down here you have got your optic chiasma. You see this structure which you can see over here, this structure over here is called as your optic chiasma, right? So I will draw the complete optic chiasma right now. See, all of you just look at this. This is called as your optic chiasm. Now here in this particular part, this is called as your right optic nerve, this is called as your left optic. Both the optic nerves join together, and in this picture, just look at this picture over here. This is called as your right optic nerve, this is called as your left optic nerve. Now both the optic nerves join together to at this point, this is called as optic chiasma. And after that you see this is called as optic tract on the right, this is called as a optic tract on the left. Clear? Now the same thing over here. Same thing over here. Optic nerve, both of them join in the center here. This is called as optic chiasma. And this is called as optic tract on one side, and another optic tract is behind this. Okay. So I hope you understood this. Now in this picture over here, okay, you told me this is optic chiasma. Now behind the optic chiasma, back of optic chiasma, what is this? There is another structure called as tuber cinereum. Okay. For example, if this is optic chiasma over here, behind this optic chiasma, you have actually got this particular area like this. You see? This particular area which you have got like this particular area is called as tuber cinereum. Now this tuber cinereum, what will happen? You see, tuber cinereum is elongated downwards as infundibulum, and down we have got what? Anterior and posterior pituitary gland. Here also, the tuber cinereum will elongate downward like this as pituitary stalk, right? And attached to this pituitary stalk, you have got this particular structure called as anterior and posterior pituitary gland. Clear? So behind this, what is the thing? This particular thing over here is called as your tuber cinereum. Now, after this tuber cinereum, see, if this is tuber cinereum, behind this tuber cinereum, you see a pink color rounded body. What is this pink color rounded body called as? This pink color rounded body is called as your mammillary body. What is this body called? Mammillary body. See, if this is the thing, back of this, there should be a pink color rounded body, right? See here, this pink color rounded body, whatever I have drawn here, is called as mammillary body. Now behind the mammillary body, what do we have? Behind the mammillary body, we have got this particular perforations called as posterior perforated substance. So here what we will do? Here what we will do is that we will make some perforations like this, and we will call these perforations as posterior perforated substance. Okay. So you see, these are your posterior perforated substances. I will label the names later on. So these are called as posterior perforated substance. Still, if possible, we can make it little bit better. What we'll do is that we'll make this part thick, right? And now let us draw these posterior perforated. See, these are your posterior perforated substances. Now behind the posterior perforated substance, again still what do you have? You have got your midbrain. Okay. So let us see now here, where is the midbrain located? Behind this posterior perforated substance, exactly here, you see this part which is coming down like this. So this part over here is called as your midbrain in this way. You see, this is your midbrain. And beneath your midbrain, what do you have? You have got your pons. So this is your pons, and beneath your pons, what do you have? You have got your medulla oblongata like this. Medulla oblongata, right? So these are the structures here. So what is this structure over here? This structure over here is called as your midbrain. This structure over here is called as your midbrain like this. Okay, so this entire structure over here is called as your midbrain. Now, in the center of the midbrain, if you remember, I've told you previously that we have got a small duct in the center of the midbrain. What will be the name of this duct? The name of this duct is what is called as your cerebral aqueduct. So this duct which I have drawn in the center of the midbrain is called as your cerebral aqueduct. Okay, so here let me write it down. This particular part is called as your midbrain, and this is called as your pons, and this is called as your medulla oblongata. Okay, now behind this pons and medulla oblongata is the place where you have another important structure. What is this? So this particular structure which you have over here is called as your cerebellum. All of you understood this? For example, if you want me to make this picture much more clear, this is how it exactly looks. I hope you understood now, right? So it means this is a forward facing, this is a backward facing. So this is the entire picture here. I'm just rubbing it out now. Later on I will draw this part again, so that, because now I cannot draw it because I just wanted to make these pictures clear, right? Anyways, you understood this, right? Now we are done with the anterior wall. Next, we even are done with the inferior wall, but I will label these things later on. First of all, let me complete all other walls. Now here exactly, if you see, there is one very interesting structure. See, here exactly there is one very important structure over here. On both the ends, you have got a very important structure, and now you will name me what this structure is called as. This structure over here is called as your, which is an egg shape, the anterior end is blunt and the posterior end is wider or broad. If you have attended my lectures on thalamus, yes, this is called as your thalamus. How many thalamuses are there? Two thalamus are there. One thalamus is on one lateral wall and the other thalamus is on the other lateral wall, right? Let us say this is the left side, this is the right side. Okay, so now tell me how many thalamus we have got. One is called as the left lateral thalamus and the other one is called as the right lateral thalamus, right? So this structure which I'm putting T in the center, right? So let me just highlight this part. See, this part is called as your thalamus. Okay, so this part over here in the center is called as your T. T stands for thalamus. Next important thing is that here there is a red color structure which I'm drawing right now. This is called as habenular nuclei, and here also I'm drawing one more red color structure. This is also called as habenular nuclei. Now connecting these two habenular nuclei, you see a green color commissure that is attached. This green color commissure is nothing but called as habenular commissure. Okay, let us just write it down. What did we discuss? This one is called as habenular nuclei. This is also called as habenular nuclei, and this part over here is called as habenular commissure. This part over here is called as your habenular commissure. Okay. Now, apart from this, you understood one thing. If this is the anterior wall, then this wall over here is called as a posterior wall. Now, on the posterior wall, you have got one very important structure like this. This structure is called as a pineal gland, or you can also call it as epiphysis. Okay. Now, to this pineal gland, there is a stalk. This stalk is called as pineal stalk, and this pineal stalk will divide into two laminae. One laminae going up called as superior laminae, one laminae going down, that is called as a inferior laminae. Okay. Next important thing is that here also down you have got two very important nuclei like this, right? Now connecting these two nuclei also you have got a commissure that is present down, right? So this commissure which you can see down over here, this commissure over here is called as a posterior commissure. posterior commissure. And what is this? This particular structure is called as your pineal gland. What is the other name for pineal gland? Epiphysis. And this structure over here is called as your pineal stalk. This is called as your pineal stalk. This is called as your pineal stalk. Okay. Now, what are the structures that are located on the posterior wall? Posterior wall in the sense, which wall are you exactly talking about? See, this is the wall I am exactly talking about. You see this shading which I am doing right now? You see this shading which I am doing right now? This is the shading of the posterior wall. So guys, look at the posterior wall. So this shaded area, whatever I have drawn over here, this is your posterior wall. Now in this posterior wall, what are the structures? You have got your habenular nuclei, you have got your habenular commissure, you have got your pineal gland, pineal stalk and posterior commissure. So all these structures, they are located on the posterior wall. So all these are the structures that form the posterior wall of your third ventricle. So let us look at this picture. Where is the posterior? So this particular thing is a posterior wall. Now in this posterior wall you see habenular commissure, right? You see pineal gland, you even see pineal stalk, you even see posterior commissure, right? So all these are the structures. What are they forming? You see this is the third ventricle and they are forming the posterior wall of the third ventricle, right? So the same thing we have drawn. Okay, so this is the posterior wall of the third ventricle. So all these particular structures, whatever we have discussed over here, all these structures, they form the posterior wall of the third ventricle. Right, now let us discuss about the right lateral wall and left lateral wall. Obviously the structures which are located on the right lateral wall are same as the structures which are located on the left lateral wall. So if this is the right lateral wall, then this will be called as the left lateral wall. On the left lateral wall, what is the structure you have got? On the left lateral wall, this particular structure over here is called as your thalamus. And another important thing you need to know, below the thalamus always we have got hypothalamus. So this area, you see, this particular area, this particular wall which you can see, this particular wall, this is nothing but called as hypothalamus. This particular wall over here is called as your hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. So that is what I was telling you. Thalamus and hypothalamus, they form the left lateral wall. Okay, left lateral wall. And thalamus and the hypothalamus on the right side, they form the right lateral wall. We were discussing regarding the inferior wall, right? So if you look about the inferior wall or the floor, right? So floor has got what things here? We have got optic chiasma, right? Apart from optic chiasma, what are the other things we have got? We have got tuber cinereum. Then we have got infundibulum. What is the other name for infundibulum, guys? Infundibulum is also called as pituitary stalk. And we have got mammillary body and posterior perforated substance. So all these regions are located in the floor. Are there any other regions still? Yes. So all of you look here. This is your midbrain. And if when I was discussing, I told you that this midbrain, the top surface of the midbrain, behind this cerebral aqueduct, right? So all of you know that this particular one is called as cerebral aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct in which the CSF is present. So behind this cerebral aqueduct, this part of the midbrain which is on the top surface, this one is called as the subthalamic region, I told you, right? So this part is called as the subthalamic region. So I'm writing it here. This part is called as a subthalamic tegment of the midbrain. Subthalamic tegment of the midbrain. Why are you calling it as tegment of the midbrain? Because the entire part, you see this entire part which is backside of on back of the cerebral aqueduct, this part of the midbrain is called as tegment of the midbrain. That is why the subthalamic region, whatever is there, this is called as the subthalamic tegment of the midbrain. So that is also in the floor, right? So subthalamic tegment of the midbrain is also in the floor. So these are the structures. Okay. Now, apart from this, still what are the important things that you can see here? Overall, I will write down all these structures down. But before that, just let us revise the things, whatever we can discuss over here. So here, this is called as an anterior wall. Okay. And this one over here is called as a lateral wall. right? And this is called as a posterior wall, and this one down over here is called as your inferior wall. So let us discuss about the anterior wall. I have already told you that anterior wall is having what? Anterior wall is, this is the anterior wall, and anterior wall is having two important things. One is called as the anterior commissure, right? And the other one is called as your linea terminalis. Okay. So first anterior commissure is there. Beneath that you have got linea terminalis. Next on the lateral wall. Lateral wall, left lateral wall, and we have got the right lateral wall. The same structures are there on the left and right. So what are the things you have got over here? We have got something called as thalamus. We have beneath the thalamus we have got hypothalamus. Okay, one is called as thalamus, another one is called as hypothalamus. And if you look at the thalamus, which is not important right now, okay, so but if you look at the thalamus over here, down to the thalamus there are two important small bodies that are attached to the thalamus like this. You see, one black body, okay, let me draw it with the blue. See, one blue body and one pink body. These are the two bodies that are attached to the lower part of the thalamus. So these two bodies over here are called as a lateral geniculate body and medial geniculate body. Okay, so this one over here is called as the medial geniculate body, and the other one is called as a lateral geniculate body. Okay, but anyways, that is not a part of the discussion today. Next, after thalamus and hypothalamus, let us look at the posterior wall. Now, if you look at the posterior wall over here, into this posterior wall, what are the structures you have got? First important structure you have got over here is your habenular nuclei. So, habenular nuclei on both the ends joined together with the help of habenular commissure. Okay. Next, you have got the pineal gland over here. So, this particular gland over here, whatever is there, this is called as your pineal gland. Okay. Now, from the pineal gland, you have got a stalk called as pineal stalk. And after that, you have got what? Posterior commissure. So, all of them follow the posterior wall. Next, when it comes to the inferior wall, we have got the first important point, that is optic chiasma. Okay. After the optic chiasma, you have got the tuber cinereum. So, tuber cinereum will project down as infundibulum, and along with the infundibulum, you even have this part. What is this? This is called as your pituitary gland. Next, behind that, you have got your mammillary body. After the mammillary body, you have got your posterior perforated substance, right? So next important thing is you even have got subthalamic tegment of the midbrain. So these are the structures that are forming the inferior wall or the floor of the what? Floor of the diencephalon. Okay, so let us write down all these structures right now. So first of all, let us write down the floor because we just have finished about that. So coming to the floor, the first important structure, what do you have? You have got optic chiasma. Optic chiasma. After the optic chiasma, what is the second important thing? You have got something called as tuber cinereum. Tuber cinereum. Third important thing which you have is infundibulum. Third important thing you have got is infundibulum. Fourth important thing you have got is hanging down to the infundibulum. What do you have? You have got pituitary gland. And don't forget, pituitary gland is having two parts. What are those two parts? Anterior pituitary called as adenohypophysis. Posterior pituitary is called as neurohypophysis. Okay, so just write it down. Anterior pituitary is called as A for A, adenohypophysis. Okay, next we have got the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary is called as neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis as well as neurohypophysis. Next, fifth important thing. What do we have? We have got two bodies. What are those two bodies? Mammillary bodies. We have got two mammillary bodies. So one is on the right, another one is on the left. Sixth important thing is we have got posterior perforated substance. We have got posterior perforated substance. Apart from this posterior perforated substance, what do you have on the back? We have got the subthalamic tegment of the midbrain. Subthalamic tegment of the midbrain. So this is located on the subthalamic region, I mean the posterior part, right? So all these structures, whatever I have written right now, right, all these structures, these are the structures that form the floor of the third ventricle. Now after the floor, we have got the anterior wall. So what are the structures that are forming the anterior wall? So just by looking at the picture, we should be able to tell what are the structures that form the anterior wall. You see anterior commissure as well as linea terminalis, right? So we have got anterior commissure and we have got the linea terminalis. So anterior commissure and linea terminalis form the anterior wall. After the anterior wall is done, we have got the posterior wall. So let us see what are the structures that form the posterior wall. What are the structures that form the posterior wall? We have got what? We have got habenular nuclei, we have got habenular commission, we have got pineal gland, pineal stalk and posterior commissure, right? So let us write it down. We have got habenular nuclei. Okay. Next we have got habenular commissure. Okay. After the habenular commissure, what do we have? We have got the pineal body. Okay. Next after that we have got the pineal stalk. Pineal body, we have got the pineal stalk. After the pineal stalk, what do we have? We have got the posterior commissure. Posterior commissure. Okay. So these are the structures that are what? That are forming the posterior wall. Okay. Next we will discuss the structures that are forming the lateral wall. So lateral wall in the sense, we have got two lateral walls. One is called as the right lateral wall, another one is called as the left lateral wall. Both of them, they share the same thing. So what do we have? We have got, yeah, lateral wall I think we have discussed, right? Or we haven't discussed? No, we haven't discussed. Lateral wall is having what? Thalamus as well as hypothalamus. We have got thalamus and we have got hypothalamus. So two important things we have got. One is called as your thalamus and the other one is called as your hypothalamus. So these are the structures which we basically have over the third ventricle. So this is your third ventricle, cavity of the third ventricle, or you can also call it as a diencephalon. So within this diencephalon, these are the basic structures that are located, right? So this is all you need to know regarding the walls of the third ventricle, guys. So thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.